Hey all, welcome back. I try to record these things the day before so that they're ready on Fridays and Mondays, which has not been working out so great. And of course, yesterday was Mother's Day. Didn't do a whole lot. Um, it was kind of a bummy day for me personally. We were not able to find a home load to bring us back to our hometown, and so I didn't get to see my Matu. I didn't get to see my kids. Uh, yeah, it kind of sucked. Um, but all in all, it was an uneventful day, I suppose, is the way that I would put that. Um, my quick thought of the week is a question more than anything else. And I'm not trying to start beef with any intergenerational, Gen X versus Gen Z versus whatever. I'm not. This is a genuine question because I don't understand and I want to know, and maybe I'm just too much of an old fart to get it. But um, the phones. What is with the phones being on speaker for every conversation? People, young people specifically, walking through the supermarket, the mall, um, anywhere, really, out in public, just like this, with their phones, talking with their phones on speaker. I don't get it. I don't understand. There's no privacy. This is, I constantly hear from young people, particularly, why is everyone in my business? Why are you putting your business out for everyone to hear? I don't understand it. You have no privacy. There's no expectation of privacy. You can hear what the other person is saying as well. We're getting bits and pieces of conversation. The volume is usually way up. So it's 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 reminiscent of, and for those who remember the 80s, you'll remember when cell phones were first out and only the super rich and elite had them. It was commonplace to have like the douchey business guy in the 80s to come through just talking loudly about whatever business deal or whatever he had going on, interrupting whatever conversation, dinner, setting, movie, whatever was happening because he came in and felt like the whole world needed to stop because he was having this conversation. So it kind of feels like that. My kids do it. Um, their friends do it. People slightly older than them. Ooh, hot flash. Pardon my pink face. Um, it's just I don't know. It's crazy to me. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know. Especially like some of the conversations that I have personally overheard, or bits of the conversation I have overheard, are wildly personal that I should know nothing about. Your arguments with your significant other or your parent, um, talk about what you're going to do with your significant other when you get home, what you did with your significant other last night. Like, this is not for public consumption. I don't get it. Can someone explain it to me, please? Just make me understand, because I don't understand it, especially with the complaint that people are always in your business. It's the same thing when you post like a text wall on social media, on Facebook, on wherever, complaining about something highly personal, but just vague enough so that nobody except people who know, and then get annoyed when people DM you going, "Are you okay? What's going on?" It's like, "I'm fine." I, make it make sense. That's it. On to other things. Um, this is probably going to be kind of a hot take. I know I'm not the only one to have it, but it's probably going to be a hot take, especially coming from a woman of color. I've been to a few protests over the years since the first time Trump was elected, this second time. Um, I've gone to a few rallies. I've gone to a few political convention type situations where politicians speak. Um, I've gone to just, regular protests. And I keep hearing this narrative from black people and from white people, that black people should stay home, that they should stay out of it, that they should let white people take the forefront because it's dangerous out there. And, people, police, ICE, the powers that be are looking for any excuse to arrest, batter, abuse, or even unalive black folk. I get it. I understand that. That's not in debate. But it's not the idea that you only get involved if it affects you is kind of the theme of where we're at in this country. If it doesn't affect me, I don't give a shit about it. I'm not gay. I'm not trans. I'm not an immigrant. I'm not a woman who wants an abortion or might have to get an abortion. I'm not a woman who can get pregnant anymore. I'm not, whatever the case may be. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not, and so, whatever, it doesn't affect me. And so I think he's a pretty good guy, or it doesn't bother me one way or the other. I'm indifferent. I don't have an opinion. It's frustrating for me because aside from, the Black Lives Matter protests and marches and things of that nature, black people weren't the only people out there in those marches. Black people haven't always been the only people out there, not for the civil rights movements, not for repealing Jim Crow, not for desegregation, not for the end of slavery, not for any of it. We have never been standing alone. I understand that it feels like that it looks like that. Maybe there wasn't enough white representation that we saw. Maybe, I totally get why it would feel that way. But historically, it just wasn't that way. We did not get to these places by ourselves. We didn't expose the wrongs and the injustices by ourselves. There were white and gay and women and immigrants and all different kinds of religions marching with Dr. King. There were all demographics who were freedom riders. There were all sorts of people who were killed and lynched, and we didn't get here by ourselves. And so I don't quite understand the thinking that we should leave this all up to white people, especially when so many parts of black history were, let's politely say, shelved or archived away from the Smithsonian and places like it. When black and minority and female and definitely gay and trans veterans have been pretty much erased, purged from government websites. Their history, their contributions have just been covered up. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want it out there. They're rewriting history. They're rewriting our history. It's not someone else's fight. It's all of our fights. The fight belongs to all of us, and it shouldn't matter what color the protesters are. Now, I know it will to the police and to ICE and all that. Um, I understand that, but that's I don't know. It just seems like a really fucked up point of view. Um, and I mean, I like I said, I understand the anger and the frustration, and I understand the concern of safety. But the two the two white people who were murdered, um, they're not the only ones who have been so, who have been abducted, who have been disappeared, who have been injured, who have been unalived. Those are definitely the ones that we hear the most about, and that's a conversation worth having, certainly. Why that gets more priority is a discussion that we as a culture and as a country need to have, but it doesn't erase the fact that that's whiteness isn't keeping anyone safe at this point, and it's not any one group's job to take this on. It has to be all of us, or there's not going to be any of us. That's just my take. But I've seen a lot of influencers and content creators, pushing this narrative that stay home, don't get involved, let the white folks deal with it, um, and it's just I don't know. It's confusing. It's frustrating. It's sad. Um, I don't know. I don't understand how we got. Well, no, I can't quite say I don't understand how we got there. But and it's not that we're past racism. I don't have any delusions about that either. But segregating segregating uh, the fight for democracy is crazy to me. It's just insane. No one group is getting out of this without other groups standing next to them. And you know, whether you're on board with that part of it, but you're, not comfortable with the trans community, or you don't understand the trans community, that so doesn't matter. So doesn't matter. Um, that common enemy thing, um, or at the very least, a common goal, which is the right to just exist and be covered by all the same laws that apply to everyone else. And I know that there are people who are going to say, but those laws don't apply to everyone equally. And you're right, they don't. And that's why we continue to argue and fight and try to change laws and try to influence politicians and vote the way that we vote. But yeah, yeah, can't stand alone. Not any one group. It won't work. It just won't and can't work. So that's been my big thought. And I've talked to some of my other black friends and tried to get their take, and a lot of them agree with me, but some of them are in that other camp of, yeah, no, it's too dangerous. I don't think it gets any more dangerous than it was during the civil rights and desegregation and those freedom riders. I think that was about the height of it. But there's been an uptick in lynchings across the country, particularly throughout the South, and it's just not getting the attention that it deserves. And how is it going to if we're not lending our voices to the conversation? I don't know. Anyways, that's my food for thought at the beginning of this week. We'll see where I'm at the end of this week. Um, it's been it's been wild, and I know everyone currently is very much focused on the wars. It's tough to keep track at this point, but let's not lose sight of what's happening at home because none of it stopped. Just because we're distracted with other things, not to say that a war is a distraction. People are losing lives. Um, but that doesn't mean everything, ICE hasn't gone anywhere. The shit is still going on, and yeah, going to take all of us for sure. Anyways, let me know what you think. Um, as always, all willing to hear other opinions. Just keep it civil, um, and I'll respond. If it's hateful or disrespectful, it's just gonna get ignored and deleted. So don't even waste your time. And yeah, so I will check back in on Friday and see how your week went and tell you how mine went. Bye.